Well, I think as a child, when with all the growing up in the 80s, we had a lot of sci-fi on television, and a lot of Star Trek started off in the late 80s, early 90s. So I'll be honest, with that kind of influence on television, it was very, very easy to be interested in space exploration. And there was a lot of movies as well came out around those kind of years, the 80s and the 90s, on science fiction as well, and they only enhanced it and furthered it. But I suppose thinking back, yeah, I would, playing with your friends in the playground even, and you're imagining you're on a starship going off into space and meeting aliens, that kind of thing.
Well, when I was a kid, I was raised in Tunisia, which was sun, and Mediterranean Sea. So, and then when I was a teenager, I moved. I've been sent to a boarding school in Amsterdam, in an international school, which was a huge change. I was always fascinated by the stars, watching the stars, the planets, and stuff like. And after, well, you try to study and see. So, Earth is just a small rock. The sun is just one of the stars among all the billion stars. And yeah, that's fascinating, and see what's there. Is there possibly other lives or something, The first time I heard about Mars One, well, I just went online, check it out exactly what it was. And it was like, wow, that's impressive, because for decades, I heard like people talking like, we must go to Mars, we send probes, we send blah, blah, blah. But here, it's going to be the first manned mission to Mars. And yeah, it was like, yeah, wow, it's, I would like to be part of it,
I think it's generally accepted in the scientific community at this stage that to be a long-term existing species, we do need to become a multiplanetary, if not even spread out into different galaxies eventually at some point. The planet itself that we're on at the moment is going through a lot of changes, as we all know. We've all heard of climate change. There's lots of natural disasters, but there's also things that we can't predict that could happen from beyond our planet, like Comet Ison, for example, happened there. It's ongoing at the moment. There could be a stray asteroid or comet similar that could come in and wipe out the planet. So that would be the end of humankind as things are now.
Like space exploration, I think it's the future of mankind, because, well, humans are explorers, If you come back in history, we just wanted to explore the other lands, the other continents. And, well, since now we explored most of the parts of the planet, I think the next logical step would be to go to space. So we went to the moon in 1969, and I'm even surprised, like, we didn't go to Mars before, 1969, and it's 2014, or nearly 2014, and the space program is really poor, I would say.
There will be a set schedule and a set amount of tasks that will need to be completed, obviously, with the whole Mars One project. They'll have objectives that they want to achieve. There's obviously a lot that we'll want to find out about the planet itself. There's a lot of research that needs to be done into we can learn about the origins of life in the solar system and in the universe. So there's a lot of research and testing that needs to be done. So a lot of time is going to be taken up doing gathering samples and doing testing on those things. There'll also be a lot of because Mars has the gravity on Mars and the pressure on Mars is obviously a lot less than what it is here on Earth. There'll be a lot of exercise. We'll have to spend a few hours a day just to exercise and to keep our bone density up and to keep our blood flowing properly and to maintain our health and our fitness overall and generally so. I think that's probably going to take a few hours a day. Then there'll be preparing food, maintaining the habitat and that, and then there'll be obviously the research and science that needs to be done. Then there'll be a bit of exploration with regards going out on the rovers to see what else is beyond the area that we have landed in.
The goal is to try to rely less and less on what you can find on Earth and try to get on with what you can find on the planet itself. And I think at a very, very long term, the mission would be to terraform the entire planet. Well, I see with 2 centuries at least. But at term, yeah, that's what they want to do, I think.
My parents have 7 kids, so I have 4 brothers and I have 2 sisters. I'd be the youngest of the lot of them. I have a twin brother. He'd be only a couple of minutes older than myself. I think for me, the biggest personal challenge that I would have would obviously be away from my family. We do have a close family. Most people, I would like to think, would describe their family as close, but we definitely have a close family in ours, so that would be the hardest, but it wouldn't be the most difficult challenge that we would have to overcome by a long shot by going to Mars.
I'm not really a family person, because, well, I was sent when I was a teenager to a boarding school, so relying on myself. So I don't really have a huge sense of family, And to be honest, that's fine to see them sometimes, but not too much,
She was a bit shocked, my mum was, when she heard about it, because it's not something that she would have ever thought of, really. These things weren't, people didn't talk about going to space in her community when she was growing up or anything like that. But being a good old Irish mum, she's always very supportive. She wasn't very, very negative. She was a little bit shocked, all right, but very, very supportive and encouraging in what she said when I broke the news to her that I was applying. One of my sisters even thought we were already on Mars in terms of a species, so she was surprised to see that it would be a first. But I think the greatest support I got was from one of my nephews when I was explaining it to him, because he's just a year younger than myself and he would have grown up with a lot of the sci-fi stuff that we had, so he was very supportive as well and very shocked and amazed.
I have a son, of course, and my son is everything for me. And he lives with his mother in France. He comes quite often here. Well, I buy his ticket, so he's happy to come here on holiday in Ireland. So we try to get him here 2, 3, 4 times a year. Depends on how I am busy. I think he would be proud having his dad. Like if I'm chosen, of course. Like he would be proud, like having me doing such a huge thing like this.
How did he react when you told him?
I didn't tell him. He suspected, but I didn't really. I didn't tell him, Well, it's still stage 1, It's going to be four steps before you're chosen stage 1. By the end of the month, we will know who is going to stage 2. Well, if I go to stage 2, I think I would have to consider to let him know exactly. But so far, I didn't really tell him. But I think he suspects something, yeah.
One of my sisters-in-laws is probably the most negative. She's still very supportive, but she's like, no, you're not going.
I will miss a lot of things, yes. So having a proper meal, going to the restaurant. So of course on Mars is not going to be possible. Not for a good while anyway. I would miss the sun, going on holiday. A lot of things, like would miss the scenery.
Probably be food. The quality of the food that we have on Earth is quite good. The quality of food that we would have on Mars obviously would be good as well, but you're starting out up on a new planet. You're not going to have you obviously don't have any animals or plants up there at the moment. All the food you have would be kind of dehydrated. You'd be rehydrating your food, so it'd be the quality and variety of food we get to have on Earth at the moment.
But on the other side, well, it's huge adventure, It's like here in Ireland, so in Ireland a lot of people immigrated, in the next 2 centuries ago, something. So I guess those people, like they were like missing home, missing a lot of things, but quite excited to what I was gonna find over there.
That I won't miss. Well, you'll still be pretty tuned in to most of the things, like you'll be getting the news and everything, so I don't think there's much that we won't miss out on up there. Probably, I don't know, the congestion in town sometimes.
I won't miss, for example, when you took the Lewis, to be crowded, I'm not going to miss this. I won't miss the spiders.
Surprisingly, I would have thought a lot of people would have been laughing at the whole thing, and there are, I know there are people out there laughing at the whole idea of people going to Mars. They don't seem to realise how realistic it is, and that people, regardless of whether their thoughts are true or not, they don't realise that in 2023 there will be someone landing on Mars as part of the Mars 1 mission. But no one has No one has given me any negative remarks or said anything decorative about it.
I know that a lot of people think it's a silly thing to do, but it's what every single great thing was silly at first place. First man flying, first mission going, even crossing the sea, that was silly. Every great thing was silly. And this mission might sound silly. People say, what, going to Mars, what's going to do there? There is nothing.
I don't think anyone would really want to see a loved one go away for such a long time, but they can obviously appreciate the magnitude of what it would mean. The whole world would be watching if people went to Mars, and be the biggest media event ever. It'd be probably even bigger than the moon landings, purely because of the way the media technology is these days compared to the way it was back then. Television was only new. Now we have all the internet, so. But to be a part of it would be something very, very unique. I don't think you'd be forgotten very easily. You'd be remembered like the likes of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Would be very, very, very exciting that way. I'm Stephen from Mullingar in Ireland. I would love to be part of this mission to Mars because, like many, it has been a dream of mine since childhood. I still immerse myself in science fiction, whether it be books, TV or cinema.
I want to go to Mars because I want to be remembered for taking part in the biggest challenge of mankind. I realized it's a one-way journey, and it makes perfect sense because the mission is to colonize the planet.
It is exciting to think that in April 2022 there will be a launch which will draw as much attention as the moon landing. I have no doubt it will be at least as inspirational, though it will have a much larger audience.
I know it's risky, of course I know it's risky, but risk is part of the mission, and it doesn't frighten me. Actually, it excites me.
I am very dedicated, and though I have no industry experience, I learn very quickly and am willing and able.